Woo! Welcome. Sorry, we're a little late. Both of us had some technical difficulties, but we got it all worked out. It's basically the theme of the show today. Shit sucks. You're going to have to push through it if you want to get what you want. Welcoming back to he's show veteran. He's a veteran of many things. He's a veteran of the show. He's a veteran of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. He's a veteran of business ownership, a veteran of the military. What else? A veteran of having three daughters like myself.
I'm a veteran of getting banned.
Being a veteran. Right. We'll get to all that too. Welcoming back to the show, Ryan Kovach. He's like I said, he's a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, business owner, social media icon, hooligan. And it's you've been on 3-4 times now. Always a pleasure to have you, and no matter what platform bans you, you can live vicariously through my show. Again, we're no longer on talkradio.nyc, doing it out in the wild, out in the open now. So we're streaming live to Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So, Ryan's been banned from a number of those platforms. We're going to see how many of them flag this video today.
Hey, man, it's like a cockroach, you can
just keep surviving.
I'll just keep coming back, man.
Yeah, no, man. Pleasure to have you on. And
you as well.
Thank you. I posted, a little promo for this yesterday on LinkedIn, and someone was like, "Where's Ryan? Did he get banned?" And I was like, he's on sabbatical right now.
Yeah.
Working a couple things out.
Yeah, hopefully the LinkedIn mob doesn't come after you. They won't. They just
I'm not concerned.
They have a hard on for me.
Yeah. And that would be fine if they had hard on for me. I mean, it's nice to just be seen. It's nice for people to have a hard on for you, whether it's good or bad, male, female. I don't really care. I just like attention. It's better to be on somebody's tongue than nobody's, right?
What's funny, man? I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and every time they expose one of these people that have the power to ban people, like all the behind the scenes conversations of these leaks that are coming out, and it's all these people that can push that button, right? It's funny, man, when you look at any of them, whether they're male or female, it doesn't matter. They all seem to be sickly. They seem to be very sickly looking. Their health doesn't look well. They don't have muscles. They're fragile looking. And so the only power they derive is that button. Mm-hmm. How pathetic. I don't think I've ever seen somebody that is a physically healthy, strong-looking individual that has ever banned somebody. Isn't that funny?
Ironic, but true.
Yeah.
That video I sent you the other day with it was like the maskers version of AA.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, it gave me
purpose
to be sick.
It gave me something. It gave me something. I felt like I belonged.
And he was saying, I'm not a natural athlete. I never had any of these things. I was never recognized.
Average. I was average height. I was this, but now I've got this nuke button.
Yeah.
And that is interesting because nuke buttons, man, in the hands of people that cannot handle opposing views, opposing thoughts, and all of that, you're going to have a nuclear war. You're going to. Typically, when you see a dude riding on bears with no shirt on, who's been in power for 20 something years, he hasn't hit that button, right? But then that bitch up in Canada, Trudeau, who wears panties, I think that dude would hit the nuke button.
As Henzo says, he has to sit down to pee.
Yeah, I think he'd hit the nuke button.
Well, so just to hop right into it, I think a lot of these things, the shit going on with Twitter and Elon and everybody's, uh, losing their shit there, has to do with insecurity. It has to do with, like you said, their fragility, whether it shows up physically, and there probably are at least a couple guys with that band button that have some muscles. They're just fucked in the head. You know what I mean? Um,
Very few.
I think it, yeah, very few, but I think it all comes down to your insecurities, and that's
Mhm.
what causes those knee jerk reactions and that necessity in you to have that I can cancel anything. The whole cancel culture. It's all
I do BJJ with some dudes that are sick. They're animals, dude. I mean animals. They'll eat you up. And they're liberal and they don't like all of this stuff. They'd never ban you. They're
right.
happy to have
hmm
discourse. They're happy to challenge your thoughts and all of that, but they would never hit the ban button ever.
Because they're not afraid. I mean, that's
They're not
you said
afraid.
it. You said it recently, and Mark Cerrone too. Do you know who he is? One of his
Yeah.
was black belts. He's got
Yeah.
a school in Milford, Connecticut, and also
Yep.
just opened Hints of Gracie, Naples. He says it all the time, and he's got this old like classic. It's like a picture of him, and he's very well built gentleman.
Yeah.
And he's just like, after training jujitsu, like, I fear no man. And you said something recently to the same, I think, on
Yeah.
Instagram, just like, when you
Yeah.
walk around and you just don't fear, like, if it's you and another guy and or a very large woman, like I saw in a couple fights last weekend.
Right.
So it was a Muay Thai title fight at 170 female,
They'll
and
fuck
they
you
got
up,
into
dude.
bro, they got in the cage. They were bigger than the ref. They were bigger than the announcers.
Yeah.
I was just like, Jesus, man.
I don't want to
And
fight them.
fuck no. And one of them dropped the other one with a round kick to the head. And I was just like, God, man. That lady hit the deck like my brother said. She hit the deck like Apollo Creed and Rocky IV, just
Seriously, man.
face down on the canvas, like slow-mo. Like, no, I'm not doing it. So you either one, I don't care. But it's just like, it gives you this ability to not be afraid of the most catastrophic outcomes. And I think that's
Right.
that's what's causing this, is that they've got it in their brain that this post on social media, this something that this person is saying is going to cause some sort of catastrophic outcome for your life, which is highly, highly unlikely, and the
I
fact
just
that
want
you
to
want to
I want to go back just a few years and
go ahead,
say,
go.
I mean, look, man, I remember, and I'll probably contradict myself here. I remember when the internet was unfettered, and I mean really unfettered, to the point of, you know, um, I mean, you could see some stuff that you shouldn't see.
Yeah.
I saw things I shouldn't see and read things I shouldn't read. However, I still want that ability. Oddly enough, I still want that ability. Like, I saw some fucked up shit on the
Mhm.
internet. It was completely wide open and unfettered, and people were allowed to say and do whatever they want. Now, interestingly enough, nothing illegal was ever allowed. What does that mean? I saw pictures of literal live murder. Live murder. Saw pictures of mutilated bodies. Saw pictures of all kinds of stuff. Technically, under the law, it wasn't illegal. So I was allowed to see it. Now, I shouldn't have. Some of it, made the track in your brain where you can't get it out and you still, have those images in your head, right? We saw in the 90s and the early 2000s, Al Qaeda live chopping the heads off of people.
Yep.
We endured that. That didn't kill us. We endured it. I mean, if you could sit there and watch a dude with a knife chop another dude's head off, we endured that. And so the question is, if we want to discuss, should we change this and make it illegal? That's a discussion we can have, right? But if it's legal It cannot be touched. Literally. No matter what it is, it cannot be touched. You cannot stop it. Now, you can argue private network,
Right.
private company, the whole thing. But at which point, the problem is that's cool, but at least before I sign up and put money in, ads, invest in my growth, invest in my followership and all of that, you need to tell me up front, just like Truth Social. I think everybody knows it's owned by Trump and it's a conservative social network. As a flaming liberal, going in, you're probably not going to spend your money there. You're probably not going to buy ads. You're probably not going to try to build a followership. And if you do, cool. But at least you know. But these platforms pretend to be neutral. Mm-hmm. So you spend your money, you build your followership. I built $1 million business on LinkedIn. It was cut off in one day because I, talked about job hoppers and how sensitive they were.
And that wasn't even a bad post, man. I was like, how is this what got you out of all the things you said? That was the one that took you down.
So, again, my point is we can argue. Like, I would love to have a discussion with somebody on the left of whether something should be legal or not. That's a good discussion. And Congress and lawmakers and local lawmakers and everything else can have those hash outs. And look, if it's illegal, truly illegal, I guess it's not allowed on the internet, right? But if it's legal for me to say, fuck Joe Biden, which it is, I should not be banned for that. If it's legal for me to call somebody a fuck stick, I shouldn't be banned for that. Right? And it is legal for me to call somebody that.
We'll see what Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Twitch have to say about that.
Just saying, man, look, at the end of the day, what I think the left is doing is showing just how pathetically weak they are. The only power they hold is in ones and zeros and digital, which is a strong power. Mm-hmm. Right? But that's their only power. They have no power face to face. When they're confronted, they wilt like a flower in the sun.
Paper tigers, baby. Paper tigers.
Paper tigers. The power of the nuke button. But is that really power?
Right. For a lot of people, it's so they can continue to be a paper tiger, not do the work and hide behind that. And
that's
what we learned through jiu-jitsu and like real business ownership. Like, I own a fucking restaurant. Please don't tell me. Let me tell you
in New York.
Tell you about my morning in New York.
New York.
There's no, and you could see who when all this went down, and even still today, barely any regulation in New York City anymore. Places are still closing left and right because a lot of them were built on sand, unfortunately, and the industry encouraged that for a long time. And, I noticed it and we suffered many consequences because of the things that we participated in that were built upon that. But I learned from it. And I'm not one. I train MMA at Hazel Gracie Academy 5 days a week. I get my ass beat every day. I got scratches all over my forehead right now. You just can't see them. But when I get in the shower, it just burns.
And it's
I'm 45 years old. I'm 45 years old. No like ranking, nothing. I'm just going in there for fun and for therapy.
Right.
And skill acquisition, training against amateur and pro fighters that are almost, some of them are half my age.
Half your age, faster, stronger, and more aggressive.
All the stuff. And I come in every day and I do it anyways. And you know what? I will never like win against them. I'll never beat them. But all those fucking dudes respect me now because for 9 months.
But you're winning.
Yeah. See, and that's what they say. And they're like, you are a fighter. I'm like, I'm not going to fight. They're like, but it doesn't matter because you're a fighter. And that's what it fucking takes.
Yeah, I turned 50 this week, man, and doing the same, and holding my own and just enjoying the ride. I'll do it until the wheels fall off, right? Because people like you You know, you're not a paper tiger. You know, you're not something that's seemingly scary on the outside and harmless on the inside. There's an element of, you know, you're actually the opposite. You're not scary on
I know.
the outside.
I look like a
I
nice
don't mean that
boy.
from physical looks. I'm saying like you walk around, you're kind to people, you run a good business, you're not going to turn anybody away. You know, you don't harm anybody, you pay your taxes, you know, you're seemingly outwardly a harmless person. Inwardly, however, there's power. And I think that is where people should strive to be.
And you bring up a good point. It's like with my business, I can't be picky about, as like a
No.
restaurant owner in New York City.
You have
You
a
can't be like,
mouth, I'm
yeah,
putting food in
exactly.
it.
You have a mouth and you're hungry. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care
I
what you
don't
post on social media.
don't
I don't
care.
care what your
And the
mask
dish
policy is.
is going to be as pretty for you as it would anybody else. I'm
Everybody,
making you because I want you to come back. And
right? And I want my
I want you
business
to
to survive. Right. Like I
because you
want to
have a
please
mouth.
you. Right. Right.
And it
And I
needs
got
to be
three
said.
three kids and they got mouths too.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's just such a good training ground too. Like you were saying about jujitsu, man. You get in there on the mat, somebody gives a fuck. Nobody cares what your politics are. Nobody cares what color
No.
your skin is. Nobody cares
Nope.
what your fucking gender is. What we care about is, are you doing the work?
Are you doing
Are
the
you
work? Are you a
backing
good
up?
training partner?
Right. Are you backing up what you say? Are you like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm here for the long haul. I'm here to get better. Really? Are you? Are you doing the work and are
Yeah.
you helping me do the work to do that? Are we progressing together? Are we
Right.
making ourselves better people? Because the reality is most of us don't walk around and have to fight every day physically and like
Right.
defend our like physical self. For the majority of people in North America,
Yeah, they don't do that.
that's not the case. So when you're training, it's metaphorical and it's there
Yeah.
to make you a better person. And if you can get through all that, if you can do like simulated death, whether
Simulated
you're
death.
doing it to somebody else or they're doing it to you, like it's uncomfortable getting choked, not only physically, but it hits you deep, deep, deep in the ego. And you have to get over that. And then at the end of that, to go through all that and the sweat in the mouth and the nasty smells, the salt and vinegar
Oh
chips
man.
resting on your face, like all that shit.
Pulled
And
ribs.
and at the end of the day, you look at each other, you smile, you shake hands, and you say, "We're good, man." Like
Yeah.
that takes a lot. And I feel like
Yep.
a lot of these people who are quick to hit that button have never gone through that. And it's the same when you own your own business, especially brick and mortar, but like all businesses are in the people business. At the end of the day, unless you're servicing a robot, you're servicing a person.
That's
And
right.
it's the same. It's the same. And you can't be so quick to like, "Oh, I didn't like what he said." Did you see the Henzo's most recent post where it's like
I
a picture of a
did.
coach with like a finger like falling off, and he's like,
Yeah, he's like,
"Yeah, it's okay. Tape it
it's
up.
okay.
Roll light
Yeah,
today, but tape
the
it up
new
in
gen.
full training tomorrow."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in fact, full training next round, tape it up.
Yep. You get 5 minutes.
I think we have to,
Yep.
I think we have to understand too is, you know, um, a lot of the nuke button pushers, man, the paper tigers, I think they genuinely, um, have fallen into almost a cult.
Mhm.
So in our world, and let's just use jujitsu as an example. We could use business,
Love
we
it.
could use making
Yep.
money, whatever, right? But in our world, let's talk about jujitsu. If you're in the room constantly all the time, jujitsu can turn into a cult. Let's just be real. I mean, I
Yep.
know it is a cult. You get into it, it's hard to get out. You change academies and you're shunned, just like a religion, things like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's not as bad as it was when I first got into it. I mean, when I first started jujitsu, if your coach found out you cross trained somewhere else, they tore up your contract. You weren't allowed back, right? Like
Yep.
it's very, very cultish.
I've
Um,
experienced.
and so there's a lot of pressure to appease the team. There's a lot of pressure to show that you're learning the moves. Okay. There's a lot of pressure to show that you're ranking up. There's a lot of pressure to show that you're a good member of that cult. Let's call it that. And I think the kid that's 23 that's sitting at LinkedIn that has access to that nuke button is in the same spot. Watch me show you guys that I'm a good comrade. It might feel a little dirty. I may not want to do this, but this gets me in the club. I'm learning the moves. I'm learning the system. I'm in it. I'm in the moves. I'm in the system. I'm becoming a black belt in being a dick. Right? But there's a lot of praise. You have to understand from the back end of this, from the social back end of this, there's a lot of praise. You know, the Slack channels that Project Veritas showed and everything showed the human aspect of the ha ha ha, I got that guy. This isn't governance board like with real rules. This is, did you see that person I just deplatformed? Yeah, what a tool, what a douchebag. Yeah, ha ha ha, cool. There's a human, it's almost like, did you see that Kimura I just got on that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's showing that you're becoming talented at being a dickhead, right? Instead of a martial artist or a business person or successful, you know, it's look what I can do. And now I'm in the club and I want to be accepted. And so that's powerful and hard to combat. That's powerful. And I think that's what we have.
And it shows up in a bunch of different aspects in life, not just social media, not just jujitsu. And, you know, I'm sure there's evidence of me participating in the same at a certain point, but you have to constantly.
We all do. Look, we all do. Even in business, I've got a group of people that are billionaires and very high income multimillionaires that we have a private telegram, whatever the fuck it is, Slack going, and we have a phone call once a week where we all get on a Zoom and we just discuss. It's private, this and that, and from that standpoint, we all want to impress each other with what we've learned and our new knowledges and how we're running our business and all of that. I mean, dude, I get it, right? There's power in that, right? So, I mean, yeah, there's power in social constructs and peer pressure and all that. It's happening at the highest levels. We've got a Supreme Court justice now who, due to pure peer pressure, it's not just 23-year-olds, due to pure peer pressure, cannot define a woman. You know that stupid ass can define a woman. I mean, come on. You know she can. She's playing idiot to be in the cult. So it doesn't matter what level of life you're in. People want to be in the cult.
I know that if you go against the tide, you know that there's no one there to catch you when you fall. But hey, that's where all small business owners are at right now. So for me, it would be I have nothing to lose. You know.
Well, like I said, I built $1 million business on LinkedIn. They pushed a button. That stopped. My company didn't stop.
Right.
I am the type of person that says, wow, that really sucked. Okay, what am I going to do today to fix it? And I fixed it. But some people don't have that capability. It could be devastating.
Right. And then on the flip side of that, we have now people like Elon who are making some moves, you know, presumably
like some of the biggest moves of all time, because it's all you hear. Like that's international, worldwide impact. That's all you hear for the last several days. Talk about impact. Those are some big moves.
And taking it back to a point of to use crypto as an example, decentralized communication and commerce. So, he's purchased Twitter with this attempt to decentralize at least aspects of it while it's still being a private company. He's, from what I understand, done a lot for Bitcoin, which
he gave it a ton of legitimacy, man.
Yeah, and at the moment, that is like the closest version of decentralization and like pure democracy that we really have on the planet.
Right.
And giving more life and breath to the blockchain, which is that decentralization. And if things keep going, there's a battle right now over these things. Like the powers that be want to get their sticky little paws all over platforms. And
do you think the power to the people will ever actually happen, though?
I think there will always be a battle, and it'll be a tug and pull back and forth. I mean, certain things happen, like that rope got pulled really hard over the last 2 years in a certain direction, but there's other things that are in play, and that it in a way pulled back. I mean, as all this shit unfolded with COVID, things like ETH and Bitcoin shot up in value, and now we've got this move that Elon's doing. So it's like fucking Star Wars, man. You see these movies like
it's an ebb and flow
40 years ago, and it's like playing out now. So I'm always like checking Hollywood to see.
Okay. Elon does what he did, right? Within a week, our government is introducing a ministry of truth. If that doesn't scare, have you seen it?
I haven't. That's
no.
though.
You haven't seen that?
No.
Yesterday, Joe Biden has already named the czar for the Ministry of Truth, who will oversee disinformation, and she's a law enforcement person, and she will be part of Department of Homeland Security in response to Elon Musk. Bro.
Department of Truth. Like
Ministry of Truth.
Ministry of Truth.
It's really a Department of Disinformation and stuff like that. Right. But from, it's a Ministry of Truth. Let's just be real, and every really, really fucking bad regime in the world has developed one of those. It's completely against the Constitution, 1,000%. But as if Biden cares. Now, I will say this: if you're a leftist out there listening, if I haven't already run you off in the first 2 minutes, if you still have a few tissues left, hear me out. At some point, you dumbasses, a conservative Republican DeSantis or whatever is going to have that ministry, and he's going to come in and say, you can't say gender, can't say gay, if that's what you guys think he says, which isn't true. But if you want to say that, he's going to say that. He's going to say you can't, you can't teach CRT, you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's all going to be part of the Ministry of Truth. You guys want that?
Can flip real quick.
Leave it the fuck alone, man. What are you doing? Honest to God, man, what are you doing? You think Biden, the guy has about 4 days left. I mean, there's no assassination attempt that even is in the plans with him like every other president, because he's not going to last. Somebody else is going to be in that seat. And if they have that power, they're going to shut you up. Your speech is going to be illegal. You won't have a voice. You will be shut down, maybe potentially arrested, and things like that. Is that what the fuck you idiots want? Are you insane? There's a reason. There's a reason the First Amendment's there, has always been there, needs to be there, shall not be infringed. Leave it the fuck alone. You should not be clapping for this at all.
And if what they're really afraid of happens, then that would be the case. It would show up as like potential arrest for them. Like it could really fucking turn. And again,
Really fucking turn. None of
like I
these
said,
assholes need this power.
right.
Nobody
None
on
of them.
any side.
I know. Right.
If you don't want the other side having something, don't allow your side to have it.
Yep.
I remember when Bush, did the Patriot Act, the left was just up in arms, warrantless wiretapping, this and that. Fucking Obama, worst president of all time besides Joe Biden. And then, whatever, second worst of all of them. He's still running it. So actually, Obama's current administration is worse than his first because he's running this whole thing, right? But he comes in and strengthens it. And I just want to tell everybody, dude, don't give the government any fucking power, period. Either side. I don't want Republicans, conservatives to have any power. We want them out of our lives. Quit it.
And again, all those things go back to what I was saying at the beginning is insecurity, and people grab onto these short-term solutions, band-aids for mortal wounds, and like hold on to it like you're bleeding profusely and you're like, no man, this band-aid's what I need. Like my 4-year-old does that shit. I just need a band-aid, Dad.
I just need a
like,
band-aid.
Yeah.
That means you're raising them.
All
That means you're raising that kid right, though. If they're bleeding profusely and they only want a Band-Aid, then you're probably doing something right because they're tough.
I'm raising them right because I say you're not getting a Band-Aid. You're fine.
Yeah. but it's like I liken it to the football game. When you're a Cowboys fan or a Washington fan or a New York fan, and they're playing another team, and you clearly see your guy clip the other guy in the back, and you're biting your nails hoping the ref didn't see it. And the ref didn't see it, and you're like, yes. There was a clear violation. There was a penalty. And you're just cheering because they didn't see it. Like you're just cheering for a game. Like when you're playing this ministry of truth and this and that, guys, the ref's going to call it on the other side and your team's going to get harmed. Stop it.
I'd say the same analogy all the time. Everybody's like, it's like the Super Bowl and everybody's rooting for their fucking team. And you see guys getting fights at, major league sporting events.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? You're physical harm to yourself and somebody else over some millionaire asshole who gives no shits about you and your life and what they do on an enclosed field. Yeah, it is. It's all fucking theater, man.
And so is the power structure. Power is a game. They're playing it just like you would building a company or just like you would building a football team or anything. It's a game. Don't give them anything.
It's the same stuff that black belts do to me. They let me think.
Yes.
I was getting past the guard.
Nope.
And then they darce me.
I was gonna say,
or
it's all
baseball
a setup,
man.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a setup.
Another reason why jiu-jitsu will help you, because you think you're getting ahead, but a really clever person, and it happens enough times, and that's the beauty of martial arts. Is like you die daily. You literally metaphorically die daily, and after you die so many times, you just stop worrying about it. You're like, I know I'm going to die today.
I'm going to die. Exactly. Things happen. I have no fear. I don't care. And then it goes even beyond beyond fearing no man. It goes beyond, I don't fear the government at all. I don't fear big tech. I don't fear anything. Nothing gets my heart rate up. The FBI could knock on my door right now and I would talk to them like I would talk to anybody else. I don't fear them. I don't fear the government. I don't fear anybody, period. I don't fear Russia. I don't fear COVID. I don't fear anything. When I wake up, I push through my day, and fear is not allowed at all. At all, period. It's not allowed. It's not allowed in my home. It's not allowed by me. I hold myself to that standard. What happens, happens. There's no fear.
And like they say, you usually don't see the car that hits you, because if you did, you'd probably get out of the way.
Probably
So
get
you're
out of
over
the
there
way.
fucking off,
Yeah.
distracted by fear of this make-believe situation. And you get clipped by like the real thing, the real
Yeah.
threat. And what I was going to say about that, that jujitsu analogy, this upper belt keeps getting you in the same shit and the same shit, and you die repeatedly, and like one day you're like, all right, I'm not gonna fucking die today. And you just like take a different approach. You take a step back, you relax a little bit, you stop, you're like, something's coming around that corner, and you begin to inspect
Mm-hmm.
it, and you begin to look a little closer, a little deeper, you start to think ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first step is just negating that death. And then over time, you
Yeah.
become the killer.
You become the killer. Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, man. And so, going back to
Yeah.
the Elon thing too, what's
Not bad for a
funny,
purple belt, right?
right? And what's funny, man, about the Elon thing is, you know, um, well, number one, what he did was a black belt move. Good job. Um,
I like it. I'm pumped about this. I bought fucking Twitter stock before
yeah,
before
man.
things went crazy. I was like, shit, it's either gonna tank or it's gonna go way up, or it's gonna do both. But I just want to get in at a good fucking time.
Right.
Like, I like this. I like this. I get behind all this, man.
Imagine being distraught that other people are going to be able to speak. Like, I try to process that,
Yep.
and it's wild, but he put out a graph, and I think it's important to understand, like, just how he's traditionally a liberal. He said he
Right.
fully supported Obama's presidency twice, this and that, but he put out a graph like, the left has moved so far, so radical, so incoherent. All the 99 million genders and dudes beating up on girls. I mean, where does any of this make sense, dude? And what he's saying is you guys left everybody else. Like, we're all still standing kind of right here. Free speech. You have the right to own a gun. Leave me alone. I own my property. There's a guy and a girl. Dude shouldn't be beating up on girls. I mean, these are just simple, common principles of civilization that aren't even that complicated at all. And out of nowhere, I feel like that meme with Julia Roberts with all the math equations going around. Like, I just out of nowhere, I feel like in a couple of years, I'm trying to figure out, like, the fuck planet am I on? That's how far left they've moved. And so,
And the weird part is the right is kind of chilled out a little bit, because I grew up in the South and I remember what that shit was like. And it was definitely part of the reason, like, as a young adult, I was like, I think I want to go somewhere else. And I was kind of
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and like, I talked to my friends that stayed there. I go back to visit, and I'm like, what the fuck happened here? Like, it's
yeah.
not the same. Like, it's
No,
neither side are the same. Definitely not.
no. And look, oh, that's one of you made a perfect point. What I fear, I don't fear it. What I imagine will happen, and I hope it doesn't. That's a better word than fear. I don't really give a fuck if it does, but I hope it doesn't. But all this push and craziness is most likely the backlash is going to be fast, swift, and severe. And the right is going to move far radical, more radical, big time radical, and all of that. Everybody would do themselves a favor to dumb things down and just go back to this is a free country. Say what you want. First Amendment. I don't really like guns, but you can have them because the Constitution says you can. Or I love guns, and if you don't, that's cool too. my property is my property. Don't steal from me. You know, I have the right to protect myself, but I'm not going to mess with you. You know, like we all need to kind of just go back to that. That's real simple living. If I see you need help, I'll open the door for you. You know, I don't care, you know, what your leanings are and all of that. You know, let's make liberalism just people that want to legalize weed again.
I
And
try to
then
explain this to my kids, and I'm like,
and
no,
then
all we wanted was to be, we
all we
wanted to be
wanted
able to
was
smoke weed. That
weed.
was it.
That's all
And to like
liberals
wear
wanted.
whatever we wanted to wear. That's what liberal
Yeah.
was.
Can we
Yeah.
just go back to those kind of liberals that just want, you know, weed to be legal? Let's just make liberals that again. And conservatives, you know? Can we
Yeah.
just go back to, you know, you just like your guns and, you know, you want to be, you know, left alone. Let's just all go back to that. And
I
conservatives,
saw
let the liberals smoke their weed because you know you like it too.
be hide behind closed doors.
Yeah.
You know, they be gay too. They just don't tell
Yeah, I was
nobody.
gonna
It's
say, let
fine.
them
Like,
be
nobody
gay.
cares.
Look,
Nobody
you're gay
cares.
too, Bubba. We know you're gay.
You just don't
It's
talk about it.
you don't talk about it. Just everybody, just do your
He said,
thing.
Bubba. He
Leave everybody alone, man.
So I saw a quote the other day. I'd never heard it before, but it's an old one, and maybe I just dismissed it. But it said an armed society is a polite society because there's
Facts.
not that catastrophic fear. It's like if you get too far out of line, in some way the hammer's going to come down on you, whether it's the authorities or just
Right.
some
Or
smoking
some
Joe
dude.
that's out there, and it's like, God damn boy, you ain't going. Bubba's going to be there.
I was at a sports bar just the other night, man, and it's got the big outdoor patio and then the inside. And on nice evenings when the weather's nice, they roll up the patio and open up the big roll up doors. So even if you're inside, you're kind of outside, right?
You're outside. Yeah.
And there was a truck, an older truck that drove down the road and had a backfire. Boom, right? Dude, I stood up, my nines in my hand, and about 25 people around me looking around because it sounded like a gunshot.
Right.
And we were all looking, and this is no joke. This is in a sports bar, like 20 something people with just pistols in their hands looking around, like who the hell just fired a shot? And everybody's looking around, and somebody goes, it was just a backfire. Oh, God dang it, man. Put our guns right back. And everybody went back to having a good time. If you walked into that place wanting trouble, you're a dead man.
Yep. Exactly.
Interestingly enough,
you're gonna slow your roll.
you're dead. And
Yeah.
in Texas, they passed, you know, constitutional carry. That eliminated the need for even a license. Meaning, if you can buy the weapon legally, you can carry it, and it can even be seen. It can be in the open, like it's open carry, right? Everybody flipped the fuck out. And the Democrats used, well, the police don't want it as a example that it would cause chaos. No, the police don't want it because most of them have side businesses selling CHLs, and they knew that it was going to destroy their second income. Okay. That's why the police unions were against it. However, it's been in place now for a little over a year, and magically nothing's happened.
And
there's no increase in crime.
Yeah. Couple
In
that
fact,
with
there's a
what's
decrease.
happened. Right. And then in New York, it's completely the opposite. Like, let's disarm the public. Let's
And
get
defund
rid
the
of
police.
get rid of the task force that was like, you know, the one thing that was slowing down illegal arms in
Right.
New York City. And look at the fucking state of things now. This subway shooting was a mile from my house. I was in the same train station as this fool right after he shot everybody up, possibly on the same train with him going into Manhattan. It was
Jesus.
blocks from my little one's school, and I was
Right.
walking to drop her off while this dude had jumped out of the train after just shooting everybody. Like, that shit hit close to home. And
now
everybody was unarmed. Nobody could do anything.
Nobody, you're sitting ducks.
Smoke screen.
Now, right.
They're just running around with no resistance at all.
None.
It's fucking crazy. And then
But
the DA isn't going to fucking do anything for most of it anyhow.
And here's the thing too. not only was there no resistance of an actual shooter, but this clown had been on social media for years
Saying
spewing
crazy shit.
crazy shit and was never banned because he is part of a protected class.
Mhm.
And that is the frustration that people have is number one, you're sitting ducks, you can't protect yourself. If he's got the gun and he's going to town, if he would have been anywhere near that restaurant I was in the other night, I mean,
Pew
dude, he
pew.
would look like Swiss cheese. Number one. And everybody would be safe. That's number one. And then number two, why the fuck wasn't he harassed by the social media, giants and all of that? I talk about job hopping and I'm banned, but this asshole is spewing some of the most hatred, vile, violent shit and had been for years and had nothing done to him because
And
he's a
he was
leftist and he's
specific.
black.
He was specific. New York City, Mayor Adams. Adams has been mayor for a few months. This was recent. This was not.
Yeah, man.
This was not like, oh, a few years ago, this guy said this. This guy was saying this shit recently and being specific about violence was going to come
Right.
to the train system.
Right.
Nobody did anything. I'm like, oh,
I
this kind of
post-
sounds like 9/11 and how it was like, oh, these guys are saying this shit. And like, nobody did anything. Bam.
I went to, because me and my friends talk like this to each other. I went to my
We're
friend's
getting
Instagram.
so fucking banned for this video.
I went to my friend's Instagram.
I get to save the file though.
Yes, you do. I went to my friend's own Instagram post. We're friends. And he posted something and I wrote something like, "Ah, you fucking piece of shit." Because we talk to each other like that, right?
Take it down.
When flags flying everywhere, this goes against policies, and you've got one more, one more chance before you're on a restricted account. Blah. I was like, whoa, dude, sorry.
I got a better one than that. My somebody in my family, my sister, brother, or mother, posted something on Facebook. My sister said something in the comments, and I responded, "It's because you're fat." And they took it down. I'm like,
bullying,
it's my fucking
harassment.
sister. And I was
I'll
like,
call my sister. I don't have a sister. And if I did, I would call her a fat ass every day.
And I'm like, she is fat. Like, what the fuck?
And even if she's not, I'm going to call her
I'm
fat.
not even lying. I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, what? Like, if you saw the the text thread between my sister, brother, and I, like sometimes my mom, sometimes my dad. I mean, it's unruly. It's awful. It's love. It was how that was our love language.
If you aren't talking to your friends like that, are they really friends? But that's my point. I mean, this guy can talk specific terroristic shit, and he's allowed to do it over and over and over.
Call my sister fat,
but you can't call your sister fat, and I can't tell my friend he's a piece of shit. I mean, it's just insane. So the frustration it's going to build, Jeremiah, is not good, dude. I'm just saying, man, like, leave the people alone. You're creating powder kegs that don't need to be created, man. Just let them speak. Let them talk.
And guys like you and I, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I disagree with a lot of things that people say, but I would never say you shouldn't be allowed to have that out in the universe.
Somebody, Elon blocked somebody because I guess they had just trolling hard. And when he blocked them, he didn't ban them. Yeah. And so they posted the screenshot. See, even Elon doesn't believe in free speech.
Not true.
My neighbor can say whatever he wants. But if I don't want him coming in my house, I have the right to lock the door and keep him out. I don't understand how that's lost on people. It has nothing to do with free speech. Blocking somebody is the mature thing to do.
Right.
Oh, you don't like this douchebag?
Right.
Block them.
Someone calls you on the phone and they're harassing you and you hang up. That's not you.
You block their phone.
Right. It's not you inhibiting on their free speech. They can say that to whoever the fuck they want. You just don't want to listen to it.
Right.
And everybody has an off button. Everybody's got that. every phone, every computer, every application, every email. There's
And
an
these are from
unsubscribe.
seemingly educated people that now need all of their student loans paid for by other
See,
people.
I love this one too.
Okay.
I created the debt. You get me out of it.
Yeah, I created the debt. You get me out of it because technically I'm not smart enough to literally understand that blocking is not even remotely the same thing as free speech. Not only should we not wipe out their debt, but because they're so stupid and their education was a complete and total absolute waste, we need to change the rules that say you can file bankruptcy on student loans. Okay.
Like a
Now,
business.
like
You
a
fuck up on a
business,
loan
you
in
take the
business,
risk, you go
bankruptcy.
bankrupt,
That's
right?
yep.
So because you're so dumb and because paid all this money to a college and can do nothing with it and make either you're making a lot of money and you're a fraud and you just want to pass your debt on to other people, or you're not making any money, meaning you're an idiot.
Or
Either
a paper tiger and unwilling to do the hard work.
or a paper
See,
tiger.
because I need dishwashers, and you could pay your student loan bill off with the dishwasher job. It'll take you a long ass time, but you won't be a burden to society, and you'll help me out. But ain't nobody taking that shit. Nobody with student loans, at least.
Nope. And that's the
I
thing.
got dudes that like swam across the Atlantic, and they're like, "I'll fucking do that shit." That's it. Nobody else.
Yeah,
will do it.
if you're listening to this and you're pro student loan, debt being wiped out by the federal government, they did an analysis, and every tax-paying age American
That reminds me.
will be hit with $13,000.
Say that one more time.
It equates to $13,000 for every tax-paying aged American. So if you're listening to this and you're for wiping out your student debt, understand it's not wiped out. It goes on the ledger. It's paid back by people that didn't get, the education that you agreed to. And that really, honest to God, makes you a real piece of shit. That is pushing $13,000 worth of debt onto every tax-paying American. And you're a piece of shit. Sorry.
Tell me what you're Ryan.
I mean,
you don't have to hold back here.
I'm just saying.
I'm the one that's going to get banned, not you.
It really makes you an honest piece of shit, though. Like anybody that wants to take any debt, whether it's, student loans or a credit card or a car, if your mom gives you a car and cosigns for it and you just fucking don't pay the bill and you strap your mom with it, you're a piece of shit.
You're an asshole. Huh?
You're an asshole. So,
and I mean, I have student loans, but I always saw it. I mean, I came out of school self-employed, and I always saw it as an investment in myself and
an investment in yourself.
So whether you go and work for somebody else or you're starting your own thing, it's an investment in yourself, and you need to fucking pay it back.
You need to pay it back, dude.
It's accountability.
Or file bankruptcy.
Right.
Change
take
the
your
laws.
lashings. Right.
Change the law. If you can't afford it, file bankruptcy like everybody else does. You guys love to talk about the fact that Trump filed bankruptcy a couple of times on some of his businesses. That's actually what the world does. Imagine if Trump had said, well, I tried to build all of this. It's billions of dollars. I just don't want it anymore. So you guys have to pay it. No, what he did is he took his lashings. He filed bankruptcy on these particular businesses, which is what you do when you do risk and the risk doesn't pay off, right? That's what the real world does. So let's change the laws. Let's allow bankruptcy to happen on student loans. Watch, all of a sudden the federal government will stop loaning and the university costs will plummet. Because now they know they're going to get their money. You can't file bankruptcy. So
and I suppose it will affect inflation as well.
adding
I'm
no
financial expert, but
so this is something too, Jeremiah, real quick. I told my wife this. I said, okay, so everybody before this period that paid off all of theirs gets no relief. Yet they're not saying moving forward, college is free. So what's going to happen is this one line of time in history, these people right here are going to get theirs wiped out. The kid that starts college 2 years from now is back to where these other people are. So what made this line of people in history so special to get $1.6 million of debt erased? Midterms. That's what made them special.
The game.
Votes.
Yep.
That's the game. That's the Hail Mary pass.
Right. I mean, that they are always buying them. That's how they get them.
It's just a small line of people in history that are going to get wiped out. The people after them are going to pay. The people before them paid.
Yep.
We could discuss free college. So,
right.
I mean, if that's what we want to do, let's talk about it. But
and college is kind of a shit show, anyways, these days. Anyhow, I mean, that shit's just a business in and of itself, also.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like the Johnny Depp
schools
trial.
Are not.
It's just a shit show.
The best meme so far to come out of that, it was like, well, I forget her name. I haven't watched any of that shit. I just see the meme.
Amber Turd.
And she's like, but I only shit in your bed. And then it's like this Johnny Depp picture from like one of the Pirates of the Caribbean. And he's like, but you did shit in the bed. Like that's like, let's not erase this part.
21 Dump Street was my favorite one.
Man.
Yeah.
All right. So we
show,
covered paper tigers. We talked about fighting.
Yeah. Elon.
What Elon and this move means, decentralization, which is a big, like I am looking to back these things
all day,
more than anything else all day. And for me, the big lesson I think they all need is you have to learn to be a fighter. You have to learn, first of all, prior to like the last, let's say the modern era, whatever you want to call that, starting from even in the industrial age, people still like had to fight on a daily basis for their existence. So even more recent than that, what are we talking, like 100 years, maybe?
About 100
Western
years
society. Western society has gotten pretty soft and softer and softer through the generations. My brother and I talk about this, how like we're like, man, our dad was like such a fucking beast, man. He was just so tough. And why? And I'm like, well,
grizzled.
He grew up under like World War II vets, like, and they, and how about like how tough they were? Like our dad was tough as hell, but then like the generation before, God, they were fucking tough. I mean, my grandfather was a sharecropper in North Carolina.
They didn't have bones. Everything was just grizzle.
Yeah.
They were just gristly, man. I saw this this little soy boy talking one day about, well, we could have been a little harder, but if our dads weren't such dicks, I mean, all they did was yell at us for not holding the flashlight right, and that's their little thing, right? And so I
got smacked. I got smacked.
I commented and I said, why the fuck can't you hold a flashlight right? How stupid are you? But no, you're right. I mean, like it has progressively gotten softer and softer and softer and softer and softer.
Right. So my point is, like, daily life back then was like fighting, like physically fighting, like, and then I've got immigrants that work for me at a number, I'm in New York, so it's just like a melting pot. A lot of my neighboring business owners are immigrants. And I talked to this one guy. I'm like, yo, man, you should come train. He's like, bro, I grew up fighting. I don't want to do that shit anymore.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Not have to do that anymore. But he knows it. And when you see what this fella's doing, it's like fucking impressive.
And he can turn back and flip the switch if he has to.
Sure. Oh, no question. No question. Yeah. He's got that crazy little twinkle in his eye where you're like, I could take you, I think.
Yeah. You're like,
but so, just to, further advocate for the martial arts and jiu-jitsu in particular, because it's the one art where you could train full steam and like really simulate an
Yes.
honest to goodness fight, and then you both stand up at the end and got all your fingers and toes
Yep.
for the most part,
For the most part.
and you shake hands and you do it again, and you do that shit 5 times a day, and you shake everybody's hand at the end, and everybody's fine, and you
Yeah.
go about your daily life, but you leave with that like deep subconscious knowledge, confidence that like you can deal with today's problems,
Right.
especially in modern society. It's not going to be so bad. You don't have to be so butthurt. You don't have to give a fuck what everybody says. You could just be yourself and be confident in that.
That's right. Yeah. And jujitsu's taught me like, and the first thing I do when somebody new comes in is I don't do a lot of, much of anything. I just flow roll with them. But the one thing I always try to do is, I'm not going to arm bar them. I'm not going to triangle them just right off the bat, anything like that. I'm going to
Straight
get
for the heel hook.
well, yeah, I'm going to get a top side control. I'm going to get a heavy cross face, and I'm going to put a ton of pressure on them where I start hearing that gurgling, can't breathe noise. I'm not moving much. I'm not spazzy. I'm just putting a immense amount of pressure into their diaphragm and just manipulating their body in a way where they just can't breathe. They can't move. And I do it on purpose because I want to see what this person's like under pressure.
Yep.
And you'll have people that will immediately just start slapping the mat, tapping, going, and I haven't even applied it yet.
Poor Jacob Couch.
Yeah, oh God, exactly. I mean, dude, but if no one has ever experienced a true grappler that's got really good pressure, dude, it's unbelievable. And
I've tapped to that position many times. I know.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely, submission from pressure and things like that. But I want to know what a person's made of. And ironically, it's funny, man. The ones that slap the mat and tap and go crazy really, really fast, like on day one, they don't come back. They don't. The ones that are dying, they're underneath you and they look confused. They don't know how to get out. They're trying to bench press you off of them. They're trying to move. They're trying to do this, but they're not tapping. They can't breathe. Right. They're dying and everything.
They're doing their Chewbacca audition.
Right. But at least they're trying to, push you off. At least they're trying to move. At least they're trying, and then they're trying, and then they give that last breath like then I raise off.
Or you let up because you're about to kill him.
Like, then I let up off of them. Right. And I always make it a point. If the ones that bitch tap all real fast, I don't really talk to them much. I mean, I'm just kind of like, cool, man, thanks, knuckle up and go to somebody else. But the ones that are new and I see them continue to try after I just put so much pressure on them and all of that they're just gurgling snot out of their nose, but they didn't quit. Those are the ones that when the round is done, I sit Indian style and I have a good long conversation with them. And those are the guys I want to talk to. Those are the ones that I'm like, you're going to make it in this, man. And I love those dudes, man. Those are the best kinds of free trial week guys.
Yeah. And that's the point. It's like you may be a fighter already and just don't know it.
You just don't know it.
And jiu-jitsu.
You're already a fighter. You just have to you have to refine your skills.
Or you may be that first guy and you might not be a fighter, but if you want to fucking survive, you have to become one, and you got to come back, and you have to face your fears and that embarrassment and strip down your ego,
that ego away,
and just fucking come back in and be humble and be like, okay, that was awful, but like we got to work through this. If you're the one that's running from that, if you saw that and you're like, man, I can't be that guy, it's gonna show up in every aspect of your life, especially your social media accounts.
That's right.
And like you just gotta face it, man. You gotta not be so afraid of all these little things, because then what are you gonna do when the big thing happens?
I was gonna say, I think that you just nailed it. Is that fast tap, no fight. It's the person that just wants to stop all discomfort. They don't want any discomfort. So it's an immediate stop, 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 stop. You could equate that to censorship and to blocking and to
Mhm.
banning and everything
Stop
else.
saying that. Stop
I'm
saying
saying,
that. I
quit
can't.
it, quit it, quit it. I can't handle it. Let me just ban you.
You're no, that's it, man. And you nailed it because like it's the knee on belly. Like you don't know what to do. It's awful. So you fucking tap. Like you're not
Yeah.
supposed to tap the knee on belly, but like
No.
you do it the first time, but you come back and you get exactly a knee on belly again.
Yep.
And you try to figure out what to do. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but you can make it not so uncomfortable.
Yep.
And then you progress. And then from
You
there,
learn
you learn
how
how to
to
make that
deal
shit
with
your
it.
asset. Yeah.
You learn how to
And it's the
deal with
same with
it.
information. It's the same
Same
with
with
information.
information. Some of it you just don't like. It's uncomfortable. It hurts your feelings and everything. But the more that you accept it and realize that we're all different, isn't it funny that the side that champions diversity
Mm.
wants no diversity whatsoever?
Yeah, that's
And
all smoke
so
and mirrors, though. Like you said, midterms, baby. They're just trying to get those votes, and
midterms,
they're taking the path of least
buying
resistance.
them votes.
Yeah.
I'd feel like such a dirty whore if I allowed them to wipe out my debt, knowing it was just
Yeah.
literally to buy me out. Because
I
it
no,
basically just
I
became a
agree.
prostitute.
I agree. I agree.
You did. You became a
But
prostitute. So.
we are men of standards, and
One last thing about jujitsu.
yeah, go.
80cc. Does Pena even come close to meeting up with Gordon? Do they even have a match? Do you think?
I think it's possible. I mean, he hasn't competed in what 2.5 years.
Almost 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to imagine anybody beating him.
My question, yeah, but I mean, he's had some exhibition matches and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But I think Gordon's pretty honest. I think if he still thought his stomach was jacked and he couldn't beat everybody, I don't think he would be sitting and talking about Galveo and Pena the way he's talking if he doesn't feel confident that he can beat him. I think he's pretty honest about, when he was really, truly sick at the time, he stopped competing. He stayed
Yeah.
out and, just said, hey, I got to get my stomach well.
And Flow Grappling said he retired. I was like, yo, shut up. That was like the first thing they said. He retired. I'm like, no, he didn't.
No, he did.
And GSP is one of his, regular training partners and my favorite martial artist for sure. And look at the state he was in during his camp for Bisping.
Yeah.
I mean, I know guys that were with him at that time. And they're like, bro, it was bad. And this motherfucker pulled it out.
Yeah.
Well,
he's the greatest fighter in my opinion of all time.
Amazing fashion. Right. But these guys are coming from the same stock, man. And they are fucking tough dudes. And sometimes when you have that added, like when you get injured a little bit, it changes your game.
It
Like
does.
if you train through it, if you're not the kind
compensate.
that's like, oh, I can't come in for 6 months. Like if you actually like keep yourself moving and keep your head in the game and you're showing up, even if you're just auditing classes, it will change your game. And everybody around you is doing the same old shit they were doing before you got injured, and you come back and you're like a new person, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Like
Yep.
you're supposed to be fucked up, and you're just like running around them because it makes you hyper focus. It makes you think, and you go into fucking survival mode. And if you're familiar with fighting and you're familiar with that pressure, it can really, they say about sex,
Yeah.
if you want to make it interesting, blindfold yourself. You know why? Because it makes the other senses heightened.
Yeah.
And it's the same shit here. Your fucking knee is blown out. Your other shit is going to step up. It's going to step up. And
well, if you think
there's
any
a
of
good
those
chance you're gonna
high-level
fucking do it.
guys are out there not favoring something on their body, you're crazy.
I know.
I mean,
they're all fucked up.
they're all favoring something. Last thing
yeah.
too. So Andrew Tackett, he young kid coming up.
Those Tackett boys, god damn it.
So interesting story. My son Dillinger, him and Andrew, used to always meet in the finals at the BFA World Championships here in Texas, and Andrew would pull one out, my son would pull one out. Andrew would pull one out, my son would pull one out, and some of the most exciting youth matches, back when they were 13 and 12 and 13 and 14 and stuff, and there's just this sick photo that I have a canvas of it somewhere, but it's Dillinger and Andrew just going at it, dude, when they're like 12. It's freaking amazing. Great stuff. But that kid is Andrew Tackett, is him, his family, his brother, all of them. Well, his other brother too, the younger one. Not only are they some of the best grapplers, and I think at one point they're going to end up being some of the best in the literal world, right? Interestingly enough, in those same tournaments, Roberto Jimenez was always in the mix too. So from a youth standpoint, man, I got to see some of the best youth grappling in the world. But their family is just top notch. So keep an eye out for them. I just genuinely believe William and Andrew will one day own the world.
I mean, I'm not concerned about like anybody right now on the scene that can compete with like Khabib or Gordon. But like we talk about it in MMA because we're doing this whole study of like.
But as they're on the decline in age and stuff like that, these Tackett boys and stuff like that are probably going to start catching them. But
the Tackett boys have probably been watching Gordon Ryan videos since they were fucking, single digit ages.
Of course.
And so they've got that springboard. And so we're talking about like these guys. There was one fight. It was one of Khabib's guys versus like some young American dude. And the dude was just shutting down all of the cage work, all the fence work, all the leg, the hooking and sweep attempts. And it was like, what's going to be dangerous is the next generation. Because we're right now, we're like trying to keep up with the Khabibs and the Gordon Ryans and everything. We're like in all of this shit. And there's a generation of kids coming up right now who that was their life cereal. That was their cornflakes. And they're just going to fucking destroy. And
it's what the Gordon Ryans did to the previous ones, man.
Exactly.
And
so
it's
what
just
they
getting
did with
better
like leg
and
locks
better.
So I see no like, immediate threat to these guys. It's going to be it's going to be a generation. Later, like guys.
Eventually, the Tackets will grab, catch the old guy. Just like the Gordons and them caught the old guys.
Right.
Not taking anything away from those guys. We all have our seasons and everything else.
And these people all played a role in the development
and
of the
getting the other ones to where they're at.
Thrown them. Yeah, it's so nuts. But if you love the game, you love the game, and you don't care, and you're just like fascinated by skill, fascinated by improvement, because, like I said, they're developing their success based off of the success that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And they're going to pass that on to the next generation. And if you approach this without your fucking team, who offers you nothing, you root for the fucking Eagles. Nobody cares. You're not, unless you own the Eagles, you're not making any money off of their wins.
You're not making any money.
Make a little gambling.
Don't go out there and fight the other team's fans.
What the fuck are you doing?
The players don't even know your name.
Right. Not at all. If you love the game, you love skill acquisition, you love to see things improve, which is what we should be doing as humans. It's one of our distinguishing features in the fucking animal kingdom is that we have consciousness and we can improve. We don't have to be assholes.
Yes.
That's
a
it.
fact. Boom.
All right.
Love it, brother.
Speaking of, I have some fights I have to take care of. We have massive water leak in the basement of the building the restaurant's in last night, and somebody else's water heater erupted and flooded mine. So I have no hot water right now. And it was Friday. I have a job.
Good. Yes, sir.
Not good. So we got to deal with this shit. But I'm not a paper tiger. Not going to cry.
No, sir.
I made the phone calls. Going to deal with it. And no matter what, my buddy today, we were training this morning. He's like, "Why don't you just close tonight?" And I just looked at him like, "You, my friend, have never owned a business.
You don't know how this game works."
And I smashed his ass too.
Nice.
I got 2 for 1.
Sweet. That's awesome. Hey, man, thanks for having me, dude. Awesome
Man,
as always. I love it.
Always. We will do it again. I will talk to you soon.
I like the new
everybody
format
else.
too, man.
Yeah, man, I love this. It's really great. It's really great. And yeah, no matter who bans you, you can live vicariously through me for as long as and like I said, I get the hard copy. Yeah, I got the copyrights though. I will start releasing on my wife's account, my kids' account. I don't care.
You can't stop us, man.
Nope. Be like
you
water.
Can't stop us. All right, brother.
Like that water I got to go deal with now. All right. Thanks, brother. Everybody else, see you next time. Peace.
See ya.